Fight fans, get ready.
Welcome back to Fight Week on BT Sport. It is your official weigh-in for UFC 282. I'm Adam Catterall. Pleasure as always to be in your company. Always of Nick P. And check this out, the analyst of the year at the World Mixed Martial Arts Awards, the one, the only Hall of Famer himself, Mr. Michael Bisping. Congratulations, big boy. Well done, mate.
Well, thank you very much, sir. Appreciate that. Very kind. The reality is I'm running out of space. I don't know where to keep all these trophies. You know what I mean? And on top of that, Fighters Only don't even send them to me. They must have a massive pile of trophies that I've won that I haven't attended the ceremony and they don't send them. So let's start a petition. Fighters Only, send me the award, shoot me the DM, I'll give you the address. But guys, I'm still a man of the people. It is what it is. I don't need awards. I just do this for passion, for love of the sport of mixed martial arts. I don't need awards.
Listen, me and Nick had your best interest at heart last night. We were going to go to the awards, but this jet lag thing's a killer, man. It absolutely wipes. We're in on your behalf to pick that award up. Hopefully, we'll get a little bit of sleep this afternoon so we can meet up to watch England beat the French in the World Cup tomorrow morning here in Las Vegas. We know how you feel now, Mr. Bisping, getting up nice and bright and bushy-tailed for these weigh-in shows because we're on your time zone. People watching this show now will realise being Nicholas Las Vegas treating you because today we are bringing you the show from the UFC Apex where the fighters will be weighing in.
Listen, you know I've got a reputation of being a lad that likes to burn the candle at both ends, but I've got to be honest, Vegas has given us a bit of a kicking this time around. In bed by 10 o'clock last 3 nights. I know my wife thinks I'm spinning a yarn to her, but that's true because we've just been grafting all day. But it's been great to be back in Vegas, great to be around it all. Of course, we've got a lot of interest on this card. 2 of our most prominent English-British fighters on the card as well. Great to see them both in high-profile events to end the year.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, let's get into those high-profile events, shall we? Because the vacant light heavyweight title is on the line. Blachowicz, who obviously injured himself, vacated that title. It was offered to Glover Teixeira. Glover Teixeira said he wouldn't be ready to take on Magomed Ankalaev. So Ankalaev and Blachowicz, which was originally on this card as a 3-round fight, has now been boosted from the co-main to the main event, Mike. What a fight we have on our hands in the main event at UFC 282.
Oh, fantastic fight. It really is. I mean, 2 of the very best at light heavyweight. The logical progression, if you will, with Uriah and Glover not wanting to take on Ankalaev. This fight makes total sense. You got Mr. Polish Power. There he is, knocking out my old mate Rockhold, knocking out Dom Reyes. I mean, he really is a beast. He's very, very well-rounded, very fast. Took the O from Adesanya, the first person to defeat one of the great strikers we've ever seen in the division. And he's mean. He packs a massive punch. But to land that punch, he's got to keep the fight on the feet. Because Magomed Ankalaev, listen, he's not your typical Danny. You know, he can strike very, very well. And he doesn't lean on the wrestling as much. I mean, look at that series of kicks. Great reflexes, big power, beautiful striking. But he will mix things up. So I think for Blachowicz to get this done, he's got to keep the fight on the feet. And on the feet, he's got to be very, very careful as well. Because Magomed is very capable of knocking him out as well.
Absolutely. Yesterday, the weigh-ins, Nick, what did you make of these two going toe-to-toe, nose to nose? Because there's been a lot of respect between the pair of them. We saw them in the Apex earlier on this week, didn't we, doing their final workout sessions. But I'm sure that when that door shuts at UFC 282, that friendship, that respect will go right out the window.
Yeah, listen, these are 2 absolute consummate professionals. Now, Jan's been there, done it, has literally got the T-shirt, and Ankalaev, as we all agree, looks like the future of this weight division. So there's no trash talk necessary. As you can see there, they match up really well, all the experience along with the age in favour of Jan, of course. But Ankalaev, that record speaks for itself. 18 wins, just 1 defeat, and that defeat snatched from the jaws of victory by Paul Craig in London on his UFC debut. He is the real deal, Ankalaev. But can he do it on the biggest stage, when it matters most, when the world is watching, when the gold is on the line? We don't know. Jan has been there, done it before. Can Ankalaev step up? We're going to find out tomorrow night.
We are indeed. Now, obviously, when we've got ourselves a new main event, we've got ourselves a new co-main event, and that co-main event has a little bit of British interest in there. Paddy, the Baddy Pimlet, into his 4th UFC fight, into his first numbered card, into his first card in Las Vegas in front of fans. He takes on Jared Gordon, Mike.
Yeah, very, very interesting fight. And now a little bit of, because they were getting on very well, weren't they? But one of them apparently is lying. Paddy claims to have tapped him out multiple times when they trained. Jared Gordon says, bro, you sat on the mat. You didn't even look at me. We did not roll. So as I say, one of them clearly lying. Anyway, that aside, as we see here, Paddy, very dynamic striker. I give him the advantage in speed. He's uber confident. He does remind me of McGregor back in the day, how confident he is, how he's calling his shots. He's claiming a first round knockout. But Jared Gordon, he ain't no slouch. He's not as fast. He's not as dynamic. He's more meat and potatoes in his approach. But he's a very, very good grappler. He's been around. He's got great experience. And he's on a good streak. He's only lost one fight in the last 5. And here they are squaring up. All nice and chummy here. But I'm sure Saturday night, the fight's going to deliver.
This bit was all nice and chummy between Paddy and Jared, but Paddy did have a little bit of back and forth yesterday at the press conference with Ilia Topuria, who's going to be kicking off the main card. These boys have got a bit of history from back in London.
Nicholas.
He's speaking, Nick.
Yeah, no, sorry, yeah. No, I thought there might have been some Topuria footage there that came in. Yeah, listen, Topuria's, maybe his day will come, maybe it won't. But as you can see there, look at the tail of the tape. Youth and everything else goes with Paddy. As you can see, Jared Gordon, like that, with those face and those ears and that the scar tissue around his eyes. He's been around the block once or twice before, but Paddy's got the advantages. He's only a marginally taller, but he's got a lovely big long reach on him. And it's Paddy's unorthodox striking, which is based on the advanced ground game, and the fact that he does love his jiu-jitsu, wants to get down, he wants to fight, he wants to grapple with you. But that's allowed him to be flamboyant and extravagant with his striking, and that makes him unpredictable, and it also makes him powerful. And he's got real self-confidence, and confidence with that kind of unorthodox stand-up game makes him incredibly dangerous. And I think Jared Gordon, for me, will want to get the first round out the way as quickly as possible and really feel his way into his fight. And Paddy's got to do the opposite. The crowd's going to be going absolutely mental. There's going to be, everyone's going to be singing, "Oh, Paddy, the Baddy," and everything else like they do everywhere else he goes. He's got to ride that emotion and run through Jared Gordon in the opening round, in my opinion.
Yeah,
go on, Mr. Bisping.
Nick, you said Jared's going to get through the opening round. Didn't we make a bet that he's not going to do that? You said that Paddy's going to take him out in the first round. So, can't change your bet now, buddy. But listen, I don't think it's going to be an easy fight for Paddy. If you look at Jared Gordon, if you look at those ears, you mentioned the ears, Nick, and you're right. They are the telltale sign of a man that knows how to grapple, a man that has spent many, many hours refining the art of jiu-jitsu. Paddy does have a massive reach advantage, and that is a massive advantage generally. You know what I mean? He is faster. He is more dynamic. I do believe the first round's going to be tough, but Jared can wrestle. I think he might be the stronger guy as well.
Mike, for BT Sport earlier on in the week, and that interview is available on the BT YouTube channel, because it is a big occasion. It's Vegas. It's in front of a crowd, something that you've done on plenty of occasions, mate. First co-main event for him. There's a bit of pressure on him this week.
Yeah, but Paddy's the kind of guy that won't feel that pressure. I even spoke to him the other day afterwards. He was in the makeup room and I said, "How you doing? Media week's a bit of a pain in the backside." He's like, "No, I'm born for this lad. I love this lad. I've always had it like this." I'm like, "All right, buddy, relax. Yeah, I was doing this 17 years ago, bro." But he's right though. He doesn't let. He said, "It might bother you, Mike, but I was born for this." I'm like, "Okay, all right. I was doing it literally 17 years ago, but still, that and that kind of brashness, if you will, won't really allow him to feel the nerves because he feels that he was always destined for this, So I don't think he's going to let the moment get to him. He's expecting a hero's welcome or the hometown support, which probably will end up happening. Jared's not the biggest name, even though he is a tough fighter. It is a big moment. It is the co-main event, but I don't think that's going to affect Paddy coming into this one little bit. At the end of the day, it's the same opponent, whether it was on the prelims, the main card opener, or the main event. The job is still the same.
Absolutely. As Nick said right at the start of the show, there is a little bit more British interest than just Paddy the Baddy Pimlet. Darren Till makes his comeback in the waking on Dricus Duplessis, the South African that mopped up on the local scene. Unit did well. Is unblemished in the UFC. This is a big test. Coming back after the way, Mike, that Darren lost to Derek Brunson.
Yeah, look, listen, Darren's coming into this extremely fired up. Looks to be in the best shape of his life. Been very dedicated, training with Brendan Loughnan, amongst many other people, pushing himself to the limit out in Thailand, doing everything he can. Listen, he knows this is a tough spot, right? The reality is he's won 1 in his last 5, okay? Granted, against very high-level competition, but you've got to get wins. Dricus du Plessis is a tough guy to be in that position against. He's big, he's strong, he can take people down, he hits like a truck, but he leaves openings. He's a little sloppier than Darren. Darren's tighter, and I believe Darren's quicker. However, though, both men coming into it extremely confident. This is my early call for fight of the night, because du Plessis ain't going to go away easy. Darren, I believe, I hate to say, you're going to have to kill him to beat him Saturday night. He is not coming into this one lightly. He knows the spot he's in. He knows he has to win. And he is so motivated. And yeah, motivation, so what? I'm telling you. Darren Till is a born fighter, and he's going to show up the very best version of himself on Saturday night.
Nick, we spent a little bit of time with him whilst we've been out in Las Vegas. What have you made of Darren's demeanour building into this fight?
It's been completely refreshing. You know, I've been around Darren an awful long time, even before his UFC days, and he really is the old cliche of a happy fighter is a dangerous fighter. As you can see there on the tail of the tape, very similar, a little bit of a reach advantage for Dricus, but you know, probably a little bit more experience in terms of the UFC and the big occasion for Darren Till, but they do match up really well. But yeah, with Darren, listen, we know he's been out in Thailand for the last 10, 12 weeks. We know he's made certain sacrifices, and he's a guy that he really does need to be away from home, because at home he has so many distractions, and also he's been rinse and repeat with his training camps for so long. And he has got a lack of training partners in Liverpool. That's just a fact. You know, when you're rolling with big Tom Aspinall nearly every other day, you know, he's not doing you any favours ultimately, and you're kind of not doing him any favours, because Darren's not a heavyweight and certainly Tom's not a middleweight. So I think going out to Thailand, rolling with, you know, even Darren says, guys you've never heard of, guys, crazy Russians and Kazakhs that you've never heard of, that are Olympic level wrestlers, that are, you know, multi-title winning Thai boxers. He said, I'm training with them every single day, and I just think he's completely and utterly refined the way he looks at the fight game. He looks fit, he looks happy, he looks completely dangerous, and I'm super excited to see him on Saturday night, because I think he's going to prove to the world that yes, he does belong in the top 10, and he can turn this around and go on a title push into 2023.
Nick Pete is one happy scouser. He's got a beaming smile on his face. He's spent a bit of time with Darren this week. He looks in incredible shape. We're anticipating him to look good on these scales when he hits them very, very shortly. We're about a minute away from that all. And Nick, you might be able to hear a little bit of the hub, as the fighters are making their way
a little bit
backstage area.
a little bit. Gee, sounds like you two are coming at us from a discotheque. The amount of sound in the background. It's like, boys, I know you're in Vegas. Do it from your hotel room next time, okay? Have a little thought and a little sympathy for the people that have to listen to this show. No, they want to bigwig it. They want to be around the fighters, asking them all for autographs. Come on, guys. Please try and maintain a little bit of cool.
Let's get something. Let's have a quick look at the card, because obviously it all gets going on BT Sport 1 with the prelims starting at 1 a.m. in the morning. That may kick off with Bryce Mitchell taking on Ilya Taporu, we mentioned on to 2. Darren Till, of course, taking on Dricus du Plessis. Santiago Ponzinibbio's got himself a different opponent this time with Alex Morono. In my opinion, we'll get to that a little bit later on. Pat Pimlet, of course, on the in the com event, with the main event being the title. In that title is on now. Let's get straight to it, shall we? Because he's about to weigh in for the vacant title fight with Blachowicz Ankalaev.
He's been so happy around the Apex the last couple of days. We've seen him training just last night, actually, just him, his pad man, nobody else, and looks completely focused, and appreciates the opportunity.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Nick. You know, even when I spoke to him the other day, just in such a great mood, and he looks very lean as well. You know, so making 205, no problem whatsoever. Looks in great nick, and he's super excited to become a 2-time champion.
All right, next fighter to the scale, competing in a prelim live on ESPN2 and making his UFC featherweight debut, Alexander the Great Ape Hernandez.
Alexander Hernandez.
This guy's a talented guy, man. He's in mixed form at the moment, but he does have a first-round knockout win over Beneil Dariush on his record.
You know, when he burst on the scene, when he came to the UFC, he looked
145 and a half,
like
the official weight for Alexander Hernandez.
Definitely a hot prospect. And he's still a young kid. You know, he's in tremendous shape there. He's got great skills. You know, I think he's going to be around for some time to come. I really do. And who knows, we might see him going a run eventually.
Live on pay-per-view, the 10th ranked UFC middleweight contender and former world title challenger, Darren the Gorilla Till.
Skinny Darren is a dangerous Darren.
On the scales with a smile on his face. Wow, 184 and a half.
Yeah, but it should be 186. I was going to say if it's 185, sometimes that happens. You drift a little bit, but
184 and a half for Darren Till.
But when I saw him at the Apex the other day, you know, he ripped his abs out, give him a little slap there. Everyone's like, "Don't slap him too hard; he's going to pull out with a rib injury." I'm like, "Shut up."
To UFC's featherweight division as we welcome TJ Brown.
$145 and a half, the official weight for TJ Brown.
That'll be a relief. TJ Brown getting on the scales nice and early. This guy has missed lightweight before. Featherweight, sorry.
The official weight for TJ Brown. All right, next athlete to the stage, one half of the co-main event in the UFC's lightweight division, Jared Flash Gordon.
Here we go.
155 and a half, the official weight for Jared Gordon.
You know, Jared's always professional. You know, he's not necessarily a loudmouth. He'll stick up for himself. He's a very quiet, focused, determined individual. He's obviously been through a lot in his life, you know, with the addiction struggles and things like that. So I'm really excited for this fight. You know, I don't know, maybe I'm overestimating Jared, but I think he's going to turn it into a good fight. I still have Paddy winning, but I think it's going to be a tough one.
Well, I think he can turn. It's an opportunity for him, Mike, to really write life fire on his career as well. He's the guy that goes and loses in the big fights. This is a chance for him to win a big fight.
Absolutely, Nick. This is a massive opportunity for Jared Gordon. You know, co-main event, biggest spotlight. He's never been in this situation throughout the entirety of his career. Let's be honest, that's because of Paddy. Here we go.
Bryce Mitchell.
This guy's an interesting character, man. This is a great fight.
146, the official weight for Bryce Mitchell.
Yeah.
Is his opponent, 14th ranked UFC featherweight, undefeated, Ilia Topuria.
Oh, back to back. Yeah, Bryce Mitchell's going to look and pin him down and smother him like flat earth.
His opponent, the 14th ranked UFC featherweight, undefeated, Ilia Topuria.
I thought that was a good joke. Whatever.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, bring that way.
Nothing. Crickets. You know, tumbleweed went across. What do you think, lads? Do you think we're going to see these two, Topuria and Paddy, one day go at it?
I don't think so. I can't see it happening, to be honest with you. I do like Topuria. I think he's a talented guy, but he is a featherweight. I think he needs to stay a featherweight and go on a real push down there. But this fight with Bryce Mitchell's a great fight. Could go either way.
Fight as well.
The other man around whom this fight card was built, the 4th ranked light heavyweight contender, getting his first title shot here Saturday night, Magomed Ankalaev.
This is a dangerous man.
Wait for Magomed Ankalaev. UFC Light Heavyweight Championship main events is official.
Again, you meet this guy backstage, you see him at the Apex training. He's a serious operator, Mike, very professional. You know, at one point, one of his team came up to me and said, please don't take any pictures. You know, they take this stuff really seriously, but just he's powerful on the feet. He's more than capable as a grappler as well. He does look like the future of the weight division, and this is the opportunity he's been waiting for.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's been terrifying ever since he burst onto the scene, you know, so the big opportunity, and who knows, maybe he might be the guy, if he gets through Blachowicz, to rule the roost for quite some time, because he is that good.
146, the official weight for Eric Scale.
In the UFC's bantamweight division set for Saturday night, Cameron Simon.
All right, next fighter to the scale in the UFC's bantamweight division, set for his debut here Saturday night, Cameron Simon.
Weight 135 for Cameron Simon.
I'll be honest, don't know too much about Cameron Simon. What have you got, Nick? I haven't done my research on this fella.
Well, yeah, he's one of 3 South Africans on the card, of course. You know, Duplessis being the other one of the others. He's an undefeated kid, 6-0, 5 finishes. He's taken on Koslow, though, who's also making his debut. Stephen Koslow, who's also 6-0. He's got 6 finishes on his record. It's a fantastic fight with 2 young guys, both under the age of 25, kicking off a pay-per-view card, undefeated records on the line. Brilliant.
Nice. Yeah, absolutely. Big opportunity for both of them. And here's the third one, Dalsha. This guy's a monster, absolute monster. And, you know, he's had some tough fights, but he's shown a lot of promise. Even in the losses, he's shown to be exciting. He's shown to be dangerous. And he's just a fun addition to the roster. You know, if he can just control himself, he paces himself more, he has to go on and have a really great career and potentially be a contender.
Yeah, big opportunity for him against Shabazian as well, who's coming up onto the scales now. You know, it's a big fight, because Shabazian was at one stage might look like a future contender in this weight division, and it's just all gone wrong for him. So it's a great fight.
Yeah, and a winnable opponent as well for both of them. Neither guy are standout wrestlers, you know, and they've kind of struggled with that. Shabazian, beautiful kickboxer. I love watching him work. And for Dalsha, you know, he's just a big likes to blast people. He's got fantastic judo, but he's not going to be shooting double legs from the other side of the octagon. Old Stevie Koslow.
The guy I was talking about. Koslow, yeah, again, 10th planet from Florida on the East Coast. He was a 10-1 amateur career. I think he lost his first ever amateur fight, then went 10-0. He's 6-0 now as a pro, 6 finishes. Him versus Simon on the opening of the curtain jerker, we call it. That's going to be a firefight, honestly.
Competing in a prelim live
the curtain jerker. I like it.
Contender, the king of combat, Chris Action Man Curtis.
Chris guy, I tell you, he's staying busy, isn't he? And he's been a solid addition to the roster. Yeah, all right, there he is, few push-ups, one-handed as well. All right, buddy, don't show off. Just have a good fight, and don't be a bad sportsman like you were in London, getting booed out of the place versus Jack Manson. But you know what? That was out of character for him. He's a really, really nice guy, and when you're in there and it isn't going your way, it can be frustrating. And you know, he was getting annoyed because Jack was being so elusive, but this man has big power, and if you stand and trade with him, you might go to sleep.
All right, next fighter to weigh in this morning, the guy.
Yeah, and he's fixing the guy in Buckley, who's not going to go and run, is he, Mike? He's going to stand and throw hands with him, so it works.
The Baddy Pimblet.
Oh, here he is. Here's Paddy. This should be a walk in the park. Make sure the hair's all nice.
156, the official weight for Paddy Pimblet.
Nice. Never missed, mate. Never will miss, mate. He's had a funny week, Mike. He's had an unusual week because he's gone from being the big superstar and the people's co-main event to getting a little bit of flack on social media for some of his comments as well. So it's not been a straight road for Paddy. There's been a bit of a whirlwind around him in Vegas all this week, certainly with the media.
Yeah, but you know what? Stuff like this happens. He's still young. What is he, 27, 29, something like that? Sometimes you misspeak, you get a lot of hype, you get a lot of attention. Sometimes, I'm not hating on the kid. Sometimes it might go to your head a little bit and you say the wrong thing because he's in fight mode. He's excited. He's feeling on top of the world. He's getting a lot of attention. And, you say one wrong comment and people, they fly off the handle and they try and hold you to that. It's like, come on. We all might have said the wrong thing on occasion here and there. You're going to throw that in the face for the rest of their life. God knows I did. I made a lot of mistakes along the way, So it's a storm in the teacup. It really is. It's not a big deal.
$136, the official weight for Jay Perrin.
Go on.
Dean Drickus on the scale. We just on the scale there, Mike, when we were talking about Paddy. He made championship weight as well. He made 185 till, of course, coming in at 184.5. Bit of a statement from both of them that, not only are they gunning for each other, but they're gunning to really put a run together in the middleight division.
All right, next fighter to the stage.
Drickus really is a lovely fella as well. I met him for the first time at the Apex the other day. He came over, because I initially didn't know it was Drickus straight away. And I was looking at him thinking, I know who this is. Who is it? And he came over, he's like, oh, hi, Mike, I believe I'm fighting your countryman, Darren. I'm like, oh, Drickus, how you doing? I'm a big fan of your work. And we had a little chat, and him and his girlfriend were there. Just a lovely, nice guy, but obviously he maintains he's going to smash the hell out of Darren. And I'm like, hey, fair play. That's what we're here to do. You know what I mean? I can't take offense of that. And I'm pretty sure Darren's saying the same thing, but two nice guys, two guys that want to obviously get a win very, very badly. Two guys that will deliver. I'm telling you, fight of the night. I'm telling you right now, that will be fight of the night. It's kind of nice having Adam so quiet, isn't it, Nick?
All right, next fighter to the
I don't know what he's doing with his
Look at the frustration on his face.
He's the other side of the room, so he can hear us, but he's obviously done something.
See that you lads are getting stuck in. I'm just making sure that anybody on the scales. All right, you crack on. Have a chat between yourselves and enjoy.
Hey, Nick, did that sound like someone was speaking to you through a DeLorean in 1955? Do you know what I mean? Because we're not getting you, brother.
Exactly.
In my humble opinion, you need to disconnect and go set up in a different part of the Apex because your Wi-Fi connection is no bueno, as they say. Is that what you're hearing,
That's
Nick?
Right.
Disassemble, disconnect, go to another part.
Listen,
you're not going to be able to see all the men and women in their underpants.
He's the other side of the room from me. I don't know why he just doesn't come over and just sit next to me. There's a chair sitting right here. He's more than welcome to come and share my microphone. That was Chris Daukaus making heavyweight there. It's an interesting conversation with Daukaus this week when he was talking about potentially going down in weight. I think we can see there on the scales. He is a little bit fleshy, but he is a big boy. And that just highlights, the distance between light heavyweight and heavyweight in the UFC. It's such a big jump that to come back down. I think, don't get me wrong, I think he's got the body shape that could do it. But that to me suggests as well that he's felt the size of a true heavyweight in the modern era, and he's probably thinking, you know what, if I'm going to do anything in this game, it's going to be in the weight division below.
And that is absolutely correct. It is. He's got great skills and he won some great fights, but if he truly wants to be a champion, if he wants to go down as if he wants to have the kind of career that he aspires to, you have to make some sacrifices, and he's a little undersized. I didn't catch the weight there because of the connection, but what did he weigh in? What did he hit the scale at, Nick? I can't hear you, brother.
I thought we might have had it there on our board. Hopefully one of our production team can put it up. I just missed it myself because we were too busy holding the show together. Obviously, without a presenter, we were too busy chatting away, weren't we, bro? So
listen, it's okay.
I'm sure we will get it.
We'll hold it down. We'll do Adam's job. It's all right. He's jet lagged.
Well, listen. No. Listen. You're the analyst of the year. Can you not hold this together by yourself? What's the matter with you?
100%. You two go take a nap. You've got your little jet lag. Is it hard? Oh, I fly in, right, all the time, straight to it. Max Bentley, our producer, Mike, I need you straight from the plane. I need you to do this. I'm like, yeah, no worries. I'm a pro. I'll do it. You want me up at 6 a.m. because the fight's on the East Coast for the Wayne show? No problem. I do it here. Bells on, Wi-Fi connection, crisp, audio, amazing. You know what I mean? No complaining, no interfering, no reverbing, no different sounds coming from all over the place. A true professional. And yeah, you're right. That is why I am the analyst of the year, because it's the total package, Adam. It's not just showing up and doing a good job. It's being professional. It's being presentable. It's being high quality sound, audio, visuals, everything. Not just having a cheeky little smile and overplaying the northern accent. Come on, mate, together.
Amazing. I think that's what they call a 10-7, innit? You've absolutely 10-7 me.
I'm just glad because you guys have, that we can have a bit of banter like that. If you said that to an American, oh my God, they would flip the lid. Do you know what I mean? No offense to all you Americans listening.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Listen, I went away for a split second, just had a quick word with the IT guys here who have managed to keep me on for speed now, of which Nick had robbed earlier on. So hopefully I won't drop out now, so we can have a proper conversation and get stuck into various things. In fact, just bear with me a second, Mike. You're going to be upset here, pal, because the donuts are coming round at the Apex. Come on, what are we having? We're going to have a sugar one. We're going to have a sugar one, Mikey. Come on, lad. We're getting looked after here, boy.
Well, I'm at the Apex every other day. Once again, Mike, I have the self-discipline.
Mike, do us a
discipline, bro. Oh, come on.
Just take care of it, Mike.
God. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the BT Sports Show. I'm the only one with a real connection and a real camera quality that you want to listen to anyway. Whilst these two idiots, these two jokers, these two people that don't take the job seriously stuff their face with highly sugared, highly caloric, unnatural foods that will probably contribute to them potentially receiving cancer one day. And the beer belly, the donut belly, the pasty legs. You're not flying the flag for the Brits, okay? Please get it together once again. Come on, have you washed down? What am I saying? I don't even know what I'm going on about.
This is it. Whilst we're in America, you've got to get stuck in. You know what I mean? If everybody
I love a good donut. Love a good donut.
What was when you weighed it? What was your immediate go-to straight after weigh-in? What was the first thing that you would get stuck onto? Obviously, you're fighting. You'd probably do something dead healthy, wouldn't you? But would you go for anything crazy like that?
So what I used to do was I used to bring this massive, what we got, a hold all, like a bag, a sports bag, and I put all the stuff in there, like Pedialyte gives you lots of electrolytes and stuff. They give it to babies or people that have diarrhea to replace electrolytes, as I said. So we'd have that in. But we'd have we'd have some healthy stuff. We'd have some grapes. We'd have some bananas. But we'd fill it with ice, so it was all cold. But I'd throw some chocolate milk in there. There'd be a bunch of Snickers, some Twix. There'd be a little bowl of pasta. Brady, my jiu-jitsu coach, would go off on the Friday morning and just fill it with everything. He knew what to get. I never touched a banana. I never touched the grapes, and they're always like, you gotta just have a little bit because of your stomach. I'm like, mate, I'm born in Lancashire, and I would just stuff my face. Snickers, Twix, pasta. I'd leave the weigh-ins. I'd go to my room, and I would always organise a breakfast waiting for me in the hotel room. Devour that, little nap, pizza, little nap, pasta. That night, an Italian meal, a couple of cheeky little shandies. You know what I mean? Just because it's all carbs. We're trying to replace the carbs, So, that was the plan. That was what we did.
Okay, whoa. Okay. That was legacy defining and the champ Hall of Fame, Bisping. Now tell us what you used to have after you weighed in back in the day, back in the cage rage days. What did you refuel with then?
God. Well, that was very different. That would have been like a Cornish pasty or something. Fish and chips. Definitely a full English. Definitely a full in English. That's for damn sure. Day of the fight, I mean, every single time. Full English all day. Maybe a bit of porridge as well, But I was 205 back then. I could just breeze onto the scales. UFC 70 in Manchester, the night before the fight the night before the weigh-in. I'm driving along the M6, Charnock Richard Services, and I see the Burger King sign, and I'm starving. I forgot all about the fight. Woof, pulled over, got a triple Whopper with cheese and bacon, fries, and a drink. Devoured the lot, and then just as I was finishing my Coke, I'm like, oh my God, I'm weighing in the morning. What am I doing? And I still just walked onto the scale, 204 pounds, no problem. Thank God.
Good times, man. Good times. Right. Whilst there's a little bit of a lull in the action here at the Apex, and I obviously need to get stuck into my donut and finish the rest of that, I think what we should do is look ahead to some of the announcements that have been made this week, gentlemen. Obviously, the UFC released the first quarter of events, which everybody's extremely excited about. A little trip over to Brazil, a little bit of a trip over to Australia. We are back in Las Vegas in March, but there's 2 numbered cards coming up in March, because at the back end of the month, March 18th, the UFC is coming to London for what they would class as a numbered pay-per-view event here in the States, and we're extremely excited about welcoming them back to the O2 Arena. Mike, great news, of course, for British fight fans, because when you get a numbered card, that means you're getting a title fight, and there's a lot of things to look forward to with the first quarter of the year for the UFC.
Oh, absolutely. The year's getting off to a bang. I mean, my air miles are going to go through the roof. I'm off to England, I'm off to Korea, I'm off to Perth, and they're all well and good. And I'm very excited to go see some mates down in Australia. But a pay-per-view in London, I cannot, well, if it is London, I think it's going to be London. I can't wait. And I was worried. I was worried because there was a potential that Joe Rogan was going to commentate it, and I would have been edged out. And I'm like, come on, please. Yeah. Out of all the ones,
Analyst
that's the one I want to commentate.
Come on.
That's it. We're going to have Analyst of the Year in there. But listen, we got to think that it's Kamaru Usman versus Leon Edwards, the champ 3. It has to be. It hasn't been announced yet, but come on. It has to be that fight. I can't wait. The British public deserve it. Leon, more importantly, deserves this, to have a defence in his home country. It's going to be amazing.
Do you want to have a little bit of fun, boys? We're going to have a little bit of fun, right? We in the production meeting, we're having a chat about the potential main card. So forget the whole card. We can't do the whole thing, but we're gonna spitball a potential main card for that show. Do you want to go yours? Should we go with Nick's first? We'll go with Nick's first, right? Because Nick has made his potential card. So Nicholas, Mike, you could be the judge of this. What do you reckon of this? This is what Nick's gone for.
So let's take a look here. Edwards versus Usman 3, solid. Allen versus Holloway. I mean, that kind of makes sense because Arnold Allen deserves a fight of that magnitude, and he kind of slipped out on the interim title business, so that would be incredible. Dana White said they're going to stack it. Barboza versus Murphy, incredible. I mean, who doesn't like that? You know, Murphy needs a big fight. He's a dynamic striker. Barboza, a big name, opportunity to gain a great scalp. McCann versus Calvillo. People love watching Molly. Sadly, didn't get the job done last time. Calvillo, she can wrestle. She can wrestle, though. Could be a tough matchup. And Paul Craig versus Alexander Gustafsson. What's not to like about that? Absolutely. Sign me up. Take my money right now.
Oh, Nick, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, listen, and I know Dana said that we're going to get a stacked card. That generally means maybe 2 title fights, and I haven't got a second title fight in there, but I have gone with Arnold Allen versus Max Holloway, which is effectively some kind of final towards an opportunity. I know there's a lot going on at featherweight with Volkanovski taking on in a double title hit over in Perth. But, like, you know, I need to get Molly back in the rankings, of course I do, so that's why I picked Calvillo there. I think it's a great stylistic matchup for her. Massive Alexander Gustafsson fan, so come on, Paulie Craig. Gustafsson, I think that fight's been made 3 or 4 times already, so it shouldn't be too difficult to make. And it's official, I am Chief and Captain Commissioner of the Lerone Murphy fan club. I've seen this guy fight so many times on Fighting. I think it's time to bring him home. It's time we properly announce him to the British public. And what better fight than someone like Edson Barboza, who's been there, done it many times before. Incredible stand-up, incredible knockout skills, just like Lerone. It's a match made in heaven. There's your fight of the night right there. Come on, Mike, that is a cracking main card on any card.
Well. I have to disagree with you, Nick. Listen, of course, a cracking main card. You can't deny that. They're all great fights. We all love to see them all. But this is a pay-per-view. Okay, it's not a fight night. We're coming in, we're bringing the big guns, and it's got to appeal to an international audience, predominantly the American audience, because that is what drives the business. No disrespect to anybody on that card there, but they're all the same old faces. We saw them in July, we saw them in March. We're gonna throw it out again to the people that are paying for the tickets in the time of this cost of living crisis. We're gonna rinse and repeat the same stuff. No, we're going to bring some of the American stars, some of the Brazilian stars, maybe throw a couple of Dagestanis on there. Yeah, we'll have the home hero. We'll have the three lions. We'll have the British people flying the flag strongly. But come on, we can't keep sticking the same stuff down the noses. Come on, Nicholas.
Mike, let me jump in there, my friend, because you are now preaching to the choir. Preaching to the choir. Are you ready?
Preach it.
In fact, just before I give it you, come here. Show your face, son. Come here. Show your face. Wade in. All job done. The boys are here. Bisping can see it. You might not be able to hear Mr. Bisping, but he's here.
Fuck Bisping for life, man. Didn't even get me a table at Baddy's. What's he saying? Oh, he gives it the big I am with Bisping, you know. He's not even my proper boy. I swear to you.
Hey, hold on, Adam.
Don't eat that. Hang on, he's nicking me bloody donut.
Adam, give him a headphone. Adam, give him a headphone. Give him one of your little earbuds.
Stick that in your ear. And then Bisping can speak to you.
Darren.
Come close to the microphone.
Darren, I texted the guy last night. He wants a table, right? It's Christmas. There's a big party. He said, right, leave it with me. I'm going to move some stuff around. I'm going to try my best. I'll get back to you. Didn't say it was a no. Okay. Didn't say it was a no. Said it's Christmas and 10's a big party to get in last minute in a restaurant that is the most popular restaurant in Las Vegas right now. But he said, leave it with me. I'm going to try and do my best. And do you know what I get back? I get back abuse. I get abused, and I get abused on here as well. Darren, my word. I'll tell you what, even when he comes through now and says, yeah, we've got the table.
Mate. Sorry, I'm cutting with you.
I'm not passing on the message.
See you in a bit, lad. See you in a bit. There you go. Bisping's just 10-7 till as well. He's on a bloody fire today, aren't you, lad? You're absolutely having it with everybody.
Well, you know what? I mean, the mind is fresh. The cloud, the blurriness of alcohol-induced fogginess is not there. Do you know what I mean? I'm trying to live a cleaner path. I'm the analyst of the year. You know, I just got to set a good example to my people, to my followers, the legions of fans that I inspire on a daily basis. You know, I take this very seriously.
I could tell, mate. Listen, he's just eating half my blooming donut, that cheeky bugger. Anyway, Raul Rosas Jr., 17 years of age, has just weighed in before I get to my card for UFC London and what I'm going to project forward. Big opportunity for him, Mike. Obviously, 17 years of age, that's massive. He's still, in the press conference the other day.
He's turned 18 now.
But he was still talking about still being in school, still doing his studies. He's homeschooling at the moment, and now he's breaking off this week, of course, to come and be on a major pay-per-view card to make his official UFC debut. Sensational.
It really is. It's incredible. I mean, think about that. 18 years old. You know, I did not display the kind of discipline and the training and the work ethic and the maturity, let's be honest. At 18 years old, to be going through all this, it's mentally taxing as an adult. But let's be honest, he's still a child. He's a child, you know, and to be doing what he's doing, it's very, very impressive.
Incredibly impressive. Just for those people that are just joining us on the Wade Show, I said this morning, we are in Las Vegas, as you know. Myself and Nick, Salvador just weighing in there, hitting 126. Myself and Nick are in the Apex. Mike's obviously in his normal studio. For those that have just joined us, we're still waiting for Jorginho Rosenstruik to hit the scales, who's taking on Kristalkis. He weighed in a little earlier on. And the only other fight that we're waiting for is Santiago Ponzinibbio and Alex Morono. Here we go.
That's the only fight out of everybody. Everybody. Wow. Quick one. They must have known that YouTube were bloody got a call in from Timbuktu with no Wi-Fi, you know.
Hey, stop picking on me. My Wi-Fi's been absolutely fine. What are you picking on me for? I've done my job. I brought the right equipment.
I don't know.
Mike, just on that fight, because it was supposed to be Robbie Lawler, just on that, just on it, because it was supposed to be Robbie Lawler. I actually think this is a more difficult fight for Santiago Ponzinibbio. What do you think?
The official weight for Alex Morono.
I agree, and that is with the utmost respect for Robbie Lawler. But let's be honest, Robbie Lawler's been around. He's been fighting in the UFC since 2002. Alex Morono, yes, he took it on short notice, but he trains at Team Fortress with Saif Saud, and he is always in the gym. He's kind of like the assistant coach there. He's got a very cerebral mind. He has an analytic, strategic approach to mixed martial arts. Great Taekwondo background. Not the best wrestler, wrestle. He's well-rounded and he's very, very smart, and he's always got a gas tank. So yeah, I do think on paper or even in reality, this will be a tougher fight because Robbie, he'll give it, and he'll take it until the body gives up. But the body does give up these days because that's what happens.
Joaquin Buckley on the scales. A lot of a peck dance there for you. Nick Peake were doing that around the pool a little earlier on this week, the old peck dance.
Absolutely.
He's a monster.
Always in shape. And again, he won't have to go Chris Curtis either. I think that fight absolutely pays off on the prelims. Both of them desperately in need of a big win to revitalise their hopes. Chris Curtis has been lovely and busy at the UFC, Mike. I've seen him last week, off the back of the Hamilton thing. I've seen him last week, Florida, cornering somebody. He's back this weekend. And for someone that spent their entire career trying to get to the UFC, now he's here, Chris Curtis. He'll be playing every single role he possibly can.
Oh, absolutely, mate. And I said before, Darren versus Dricus will be fight of the night. I think that could give them competition because Chris Curtis, they call him Action Man for a reason, is the perfect name for him. And as we know, Joaquin Buckley is always action, he's always game, he's always explosive and exciting. That is going to be a sensational fight as well, So, yeah. Good fight card. Really, really, there's some really intriguing fights on this card, because, all right, you haven't got, and I say this with respect, like a big sensational blockbuster, like a Conor McGregor or a Dustin Poirier, or a John Jones. But the fight quality is sensational. That main event, that is very, very evenly matched. We're going to see a great fight. Paddy versus Jared Gordon. Again, same stuff. And all the way down it, they're very, very well-matched fights. So that's why we're going to see some great action Saturday.
Absolutely. Listen, Mike, let's get back to UFC London, speaking of cards. I agree with everything that you've just said about Nick's card. He's gone for same old, same old. He knows what he's doing. I'm going to show you something now. This is, if we're going to do a pay-per-view numbered card in Great Britain to blow the roof off the O2, and this is how we do it, my friend. That's the card that I am proposing forward for you, Michael. Pick the bones out of it, mate. Go on.
Yeah, well, no, there's nothing to pick because Edwards versus Usman, that is the fight card. Regardless of what happens, that's going to be top of the food chain. Chimaev versus Covington, long been discussed, and it's a fight that everyone wants to see. And Chimaev through Darren Till has a connection to the UK, shall we say. Allen versus Holloway, of course, regardless of whether or not Arnold Allen was on the previous cards, he deserves to be in this position. He's done it the old-fashioned way. He's in the long road and he's proven to be one of the best, and he deserves. And who the hell doesn't want to see Max Holloway fighting on UK soil? And come on, Nick Peake forgets about Tom Aspinall because he hasn't got a Scouse accent. You know what I mean? Just forgets about him, tosses him to the side. Tom Aspinall,
he's injured.
It's debatable
he's injured.
Whether or not
Tom's still on crutches. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but he could come back. And versus Tai Tuivasa.
Correct.
They're both technically coming off
so could Brock Lesnar. I'll tell you what then. Put Brock Lesnar. I'll tell you what. Forget. Put Michael Bisping on the card then, because Michael Bisping could come back. Or what about Brock Lesnar or GSP? Come on, no. My picks are based on reality. My picks are based on reality. This is not reality.
Paul Craig's fighting Johnny Walker in January, mate. You're asking him to turn around for March.
I'm retired. I am out of the USADA testing pool. And granted, some people do that these days to use it as a little loophole. But I'm not. I'm tired. I'm fully retired, okay? Tom says he's good now. He's sparring. He's wrestling. I spoke to him. He'll be on my YouTube. Correct. Check it out, people. He's ready to go. But he said March might be a bit of a push. But I say we push him.
Correct, which is why he never made my main card.
Well, Nick.
Mike,
if he had a Scouse hack, we'd put him on.
2 title fights as well. Shevchenko versus Fiorot. I think it works beautifully. 2 European girls there. Stick them in there as the co-main. Beautiful.
I like it. We need some female representation.
I'll give you that fight.
In this day and age.
Yeah, I'll give you that fight. That probably does stump my Molly on the main card. I'll give you that. It's a stretch calling Valentina.
Have you just said that I won? Have you just said that I won?
But let's be honest. But no. I said that fight. I'll have that. Pinch that and put it on my cards. We'll do a little bit of a swapping around, and I still think my card's better.
Manon Fiorot, obviously representing France. She's her neck of the woods. She's European. Perfect. She deserves it. Let's get Valentina Shevchenko, the bullet on the main card. A lot of people in Europe, a lot of British fans dying to see her. And stylistically, quite the show. I mean, listen, if I'm going to pick it, which I am going to pick it because I'm literally in the middle here and I haven't got a card of my own because I'm a very busy man. Adam Catchell. I'm sorry, Nick. He's the winner. And it's a 10-8. That is a 10-8 all day.
It's 10-8. Beautiful. That'll do me.
Okay, wait.
Listen, Mike.
Be a 10-8. 2 of the fights were the same. 2 of the fights were exactly the same. How could it be a 10-8?
Shut up. Listen, Jorginho Rosenstruik is just about to hit the scales here at the Apex. Mike, have a little bit of a think of maybe some other fights that you can add to that London card. It'd be nice just to mix it up and get your opinion on that. But here's Rosenstruik, the number 9 ranked heavyweight, making his way to those scales.
I think in this fight, we're going to see Dorcas trying to wrestle. We're going to see Dorcas trying to wrestle because Jorginho's proven to be an extremely heavy hitter at heavyweight. And going back to the conversation we were having earlier about Chris Dorcas potentially coming down to 205, that's kind of what he struggled with. So and after what happened with Derek Lewis, he's not going to want to stand and bang with him. Chris Dorcas can wrestle and he's got good jiu-jitsu as well, just like his brother. So I think we're going to see that. So for Jorginho, he's got to keep the fight on the feet. If he can do that, I think he's got a massive edge in kickboxing technique and certainly with power.
Absolutely. For those people that are just joining us on the Wayne Show here on BT Sports, Santiago Ponzinibbio now to hit the scales. Santiago, obviously, in a catchweight fight, originally fighting Robbie Lawler. His opponent, Alex Morono, weighed in around about 5 minutes ago. He made the catchweight of allocation, but we're just waiting for him. Everybody else has gone through. So you got your vacant title fight. That came through earlier on. Magomed Ankalaev taking on Jan Blachowicz for that vacant light heavyweight title. That's in the books. That's done. Paddy the Baddy hit the scales earlier on, as his opponent, Jared Gordon. And we've also had Darren Till on the scales as well, looking in incredible shape when Darren hit the scales and then came to celebrate by eating half of my donut. So there you go. So the British contingent, all done and dusted. Title fight's done and dusted as well. We're just waiting for Santiago Ponzinibbio to join us, and that will conclude the weigh-ins for UFC 282. Don't forget, this all goes down on BT Sport 1. Early hours, Sunday morning, 1 a.m. is when the prelims get going. It's a stacked prelim card, but that's the main card for you. Kicking off with Bryce Mitchell taking on Ilia Topuria, which I think could be an absolute firecracker of a fight. Darren Till taking on Dricus du Plessis, as Mike pointed out. I mean, what a matchup that is in the middleweight division. That catchweight bout there, we're just waiting for Santiago Ponzinibbio to hit the scales. Alex Morono, his new opponent. And then in the co-main event, boosted, of course, it is Paddy, the Baddy Pimlet, taking on Jared Gordon. Two guys with an awful amount of respect for each other, but once that door shuts in the early hours of Sunday morning, I'm sure there will be absolute fireworks. And then the main event, again, loads of respect between the two, but we're in for a cracking fight as the light heavyweight title is on the line for Jan Blachowicz and Magomed Ankalaev. Little bit of a stat here for you, Mike, on that title fight. If Jan Blachowicz wins it, he could become the first person in UFC history to win 2 vacant titles. Because obviously when he became champion last time, that was a vacant title fight, won that. And this is an opportunity for him to do it again. Could be the first person to ever do that.
Interesting start. Yeah, interesting start. Kind of sounds like a backhanded compliment, though, doesn't it? You know what I mean? And you won the vacant title. There wasn't a champ. But the reality is he is a great champion and he's a great fighter. I'm excited for it. And Jan Blachowicz this week, he was in great spirits. You know, I did an interview, catch that on the BT Sport YouTube channel. He's confident, but he knows that he's got a tough fight. And it's impossible not to recognise that. When you look at the body of work that Magomed Ankalaev has got, what he's put in, the results that he's shown, and how devastatingly powerful he is on the feet, and then he has the wrestling threat as well. Yeah, it's a tricky fight. It is a tricky fight. And I think if Magomed beats him, I don't know. I think in the long term, out of the current state of contenders, I think he might rule the roost for quite some time. You know, Yuri's out for a while. Glover could match him, but he's getting older, let's be honest. You know, and who else is there after Jan? Obviously Anthony Smith, but he needs a couple of wins to get into that position. So it's shaken up the light heavyweight division in a big, big way. And I know for a fact people like Anthony Smith saying they're excited now because this creates the door is kind of cracked open to the light heavyweight belt. You know what I'm saying? Before, if it was firmly shut for some of those people, but now it's open. There's a glimmer of hope, and there's a chance, and there's a path to becoming champion for a lot of people now in the top 5.
Well, there's a really interesting thing from a European point of view. Obviously, we saw Yuri on social media this week. He's gone under his surgery. He posted on his social media that everything seems to have been going all right with that, and he will start his rehabilitation once, obviously, the inflammation of that surgery does settle down. But from a European standpoint, imagine if Jan Blachowicz can get the job done on Saturday evening. I know that Dana's already come out and said, listen, Glover Teixeira will get his opportunity in the interim of Yuri Prochazka getting himself fit again. But if Jan Blachowicz can keep hold of that title up to the point of Yuri Prochazka getting fit, imagine those two meeting each other, either in Poland or in the Czech Republic. That would be absolutely crackers. The fans there, they love their MMA, and they will come out in their tens of thousands to see that fight.
Is that me or Nick? All right. Well, yeah.
Absolutely. I completely agree. For the European market, it would be absolutely huge, you know, and as you say, that both those markets are thirsty for a huge UFC event. We've seen, you know, KSW out in Poland do massive events, do stadium events with regularity, and you've got to believe that both those nations would love to do exactly the same thing. That is a mouth-watering fight, but there's another mouth-watering potential opportunity out there, and that's a little bit closer to home for us, because if it goes the other way on Saturday night and Magomedov does indeed win the belt, he is favourite at this point in time with the Las Vegas bookmakers, and then he does go on to defend against, maybe even defend successfully against Yuri at the back end of 23. If Big Paulie Craig can get a couple of wins together, don't forget, he has got the one thing that arms him forevermore as long as Ankalaev is champion. He is the only guy ever to beat Ankalaev inside a cage. And if Paul Craig can put a couple of wins together and be available, who knows? He could get a world title shot, maybe a little bit earlier than some of the around him, because Ankalaev, I'm sure, will want to get lost back.
You need to have it on the big screen.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because other than that, he's got a perfect record. You know, so Ankalaev, every time he looks at his record and he sees that one, you know, it could be 20-0, but it's that one, and that one came down to 1 second in the fight. You know that bothers him, that torments him, that keeps him up at night. So, yes, that would be nice for us, for Paul Craig, for Ankalaev. You know, it would be nice.
Mike, have you had any thoughts of fights that you would maybe like to see on the main card at UFC London? I know that we've thrown a few at you, but is there one that maybe that you've been around and you're thinking about that would be absolutely fantastic to see go down at the O2 in London?
Well, I don't know if you're aware of this, but I'm physically carrying this live show on my broken back right now. So, you know, I've been paying attention to what's going on. I know you guys are all starstruck and befuddled and you're all blinded by the lights at the Apex, you know, but it's just another day for me there. So I haven't given it too much thought, but I will say this, that whilst I do appreciate Nick's always support of the English and the British, and it's lovely to see, and I commend that, of course I do. I do also see a lot of comments from people when the fight cards get announced that they complain that it is some of the same old faces. Of course, we need that because this is our British talent and we want to expose them to as many people as possible. But also, as I said before, when the people are parting ways with hard-earned money, which is hard to come by these days, you know, they do want to see some of the stars that they see in America or on the big pay-per-views, you know what I mean? So maybe some of those guys, of course, I'd love to see them on the main card, you know, but for the money that you have to part ways with, maybe put them on the prelims so they still get to fight, they still get to be on you know, the featured prelims and stuff like that. But just some of the bigger names, you know, like a Michael Chandler, Do you know what I mean? Let's get Michael Chandler on there. Come on. But by all accounts, Dana White said he might be facing Conor McGregor next. So I don't think they'll do that one. But, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, who just had a tremendous fight. There's a whole host of people. I mean, you take your pick. My mind's blank right now, but some of the biggest stars in the UFC, regardless of whatever country they come from, just some fresh faces and some fresh blood that the UK public hasn't seen before.
Did you see that, Nick? Did you see that, right? Mike. We were asked earlier on in the week in our production meeting, lads, put together your 5-fight card for UFC London. You did your bit, I did my bit. Mr. Bisping here, because he's Analyst of the Year and he's all Hollywood now, you know what I mean? Because he does all these movies. Too busy for him to do it. And I've just asked him the question to think on his feet, but now he's got splinters in his backside and he couldn't even give us one fight. Couldn't even give us one. Could you, Bisping? Hey, what's the matter with you, man?
Well, I am busy. I was at the Apex when listen. I was grafting for BT Sport.
You were actually.
While you two were doing your own little side gig. When you're doing your gig, conferring, teaming up with one another. What do you think? I'm going to go Manafior versus Shevchenko. Oh, no. I tell you what, you two were sitting there like two bosom buddies, right? Kicking the ball around. I'm in there, grafting, getting the exclusive, speaking to Paddy, seeing what the mindset of Darren Tilley's like. And when that was done, I'm doing more work for the UFC. I'm here now. I'm jumping on a plane. I'm getting over there. I'm going to get amongst it. I don't have time for this dilly-dally idle nonsense. I need hard facts, analysis, breakdowns, and fight specifics, okay? I'll leave the dilly-dally nonsense, wishy-washy land stuff to you two knuckleheads. Leave the yeah stuff to me.
Let me tell you the truth. Let me tell you the truth, because we were here, obviously. We see Mike at the Apex getting fed steak and eggs in the morning, getting his makeup done, everything else. Don't believe a single second of it. But listen, let me turn it around then. Let me turn it back. Because we seem kind of united there, Mike, that we're going to go with Leon Edwards in the main event, defending his title in London. Of course, that's the fight we all want to see. We've both gone for Kamaru Usman. That's obviously the obvious solution to do the third fight. However, I seen a picture of Kamaru the other day squaring up to Jan Blachowicz. He looks absolutely huge. He's also recovering, from a pretty substantial knockout loss. If Kamaru isn't available, is the obvious solution for the defense or Jorge Masvidal? Is that where do you think the UFC will go? Because that's the type of star name that you're talking about that the UFC or that the would love to see.
Yeah, I mean, technically on paper, and I'm not trying to incur the wrath of Masvidal, but technically on paper he doesn't deserve it. But when you combine it with the star power that he does have, you combine it with the 3-piece and the soda incident, when you also combine it with the last time the British public saw him, he flatlined Darren Till, you know what I mean? It makes for a very, very juicy fight. And it also makes for, stylistically, a fan-pleasing fight. Because the reality is, if it is Kamaru, it's going to become one of those strikers versus wrestler. And it's going to be Kamaru trying to take him down. He ain't going to stand with the champ. Last time he did that, he got knocked out cold. That has the ability to turn into, not the most fan-pleasing fight. Masvidal versus Leon would be phenomenal, right? And it has all the history to make it a massively successful event. Like, look at Conor versus Khabib. Of course, two massive stars in their own right. But when you combine it with what happened at the Barclays Arena in Brooklyn, with the dolly into the bus and all the rest of it, that's what catapulted that to the biggest pay-per-view in history. So yeah, that would be another good logical choice, Nick.
I've got something for you, gentlemen, which is not MMA based. We've obviously got quite a lot of colleagues here from various parts of the world joining us for this epic card. Some from Brazil who have been nipping out in between the weigh-ins because Brazil and Croatia have just been playing in the World Cup. I can tell you that Brazil are out of the World Cup. They've just been knocked out on penalties to Croatia. Wow.
I said that to you half an hour ago. I said to you, that will go to pens and Brazil are going out. You wait and see.
So
on,
what do
lad.
we think?
It's coming
What
on.
do we think about? Well, I don't know if it's coming home or we're going home. I think it's, you know, if you speak to Paddy yesterday, I asked him and he was adamant. He said, we don't stand a chance. We're going to get slaughtered. I was like, bloody hell, Paddy, lie a little bit for the British, you know what I mean? At least invoke a little bit of spirit, you know what I mean? Say, come on, we're not going to go down without a fight. 3 lines on the shirt and all that jazz. He's like, no, lads, no, we're going to get smoked. And I was like, well, I don't know if we will. But what do you guys know? Because as you know, I can write down what I know about football on the back of a fag packet. So, you know, what are we saying, boys?
Go on, Nick.
Well, what I will say is, when we meet up tomorrow to watch the game together, we were looking for venues. I think we should go to Paris here in Las Vegas on the Strip. And that way, you know, if we get beat, then we can celebrate with the French. And if we win, obviously you guys can dance around the fake Champs-Élysées and all that stuff. So, yeah, I think that's what we should do. I think it's going to be a great game.
You're disgrace.
I've suggested the greatest pub in the whole of Las Vegas. They serve British food. They serve British ale.
Perfect.
It will be full of British people. Do you want to go in the Paris casino, which has a fake blue sky? Oui, everywhere and fake nonsense.
Exactly.
No, get me in a British boozer. Get me down the battle cruiser. Give me a pork pie, a pint of Guinness or a pint of Boddingtons, and let's rock.
Yes. That's how we're rolling tomorrow. 3 lions on the shirt, Mikey B. It's coming home, lad. Let them have it, son. Let them have it. It's coming home. That's it.
I'm bringing it. I'm bringing the shirt. I'm going to annoy everyone. My wife is not looking forward to it. I mean, I get up for the World Cup, but my missus couldn't care less. And I'm like, right, we're flying into Vegas. You know, we've got a nice flight coming in. We're staying at a nice hotel. We've got some good reservations for food and whatnot. She's like, you what? Saturday morning, we're meeting Adam and Nick and going to a pub to watch football. I'm like, yes, we are. So deal with it, okay? Simple as that. So, yeah, I don't want to take it to the Paris because it's too nice. We need the little dive bar we can find just to annoy her even more.
Right, let's make a little bit of an announcement for people that have obviously been supporting us the last 12 months, coming back week after week for all these fight weeks that we've been churning out here on BT Sport. It is that time of the year, of course, where the boys get together. We dust off the old tuxedos. One of us will dust off his Hall of Fame jacket, and we'll get together, of course, to bring you the end of year awards. We'll give you a little bit of a chat about it in a moment, but get your luggols on this. Luggols, no. Get your beady eyes on this. It's that time of the year again, ladies and gentlemen. The BT Sport Fight Week Awards show is back.
Get ready for the celebration.
We reflect on the biggest fights, knockouts, submissions, and the UFC's best moments of 2022.
The belt headed to the UK!
Plus, we'll be giving you, the fans, the opportunity to vote for your male and female fighter of the year. Look at the fella! He's got the jacket out for the award show! It all goes down on Thursday, the 29th of December. For more information on how to vote and to see all the award categories, visit btsport.com/UFC Awards 2022. Don't miss it. That's right, we're back. The Hall of Famer will have the jacket on. Me and Nick went shopping in Vegas yesterday. You'll be pleased to know this, Mikey B, and we've got glitter. That's all I'm saying. We've got glitter jackets for the awards ceremony. It's going to be an absolute banger. As he said there, Thursday the 20th, he went full Barry Manilow. He's in Vegas, mate. You know what I mean? He's gone all out. Thursday, 29th of December is the date of when this will air on BT Sport 4. It'll be available on the YouTube channel as well. And fans, you get the opportunity to get involved with some of these awards where you get to pick the male and female fighter of the year. We've got knockout of the year as well. All that information is going up on all our social media pages, which you can get involved with, and btsports.com/UFC Awards 2022 is the website to go and find out more information. It's been a great year, man. I mean, we've had some debates, haven't we, in our WhatsApp group about fight of the year. There's plenty that have come into that conversation, and we've been going back and forth. We haven't fully decided as to where that is going as of yet. But there's been some performances this year, Mike, that have most certainly stood up. Maybe some unexpected performances as well. There could be some new names picking up some of our awards in the ceremony on the 29th of December.
Well, you'll have to throw a couple of examples at me, but because all I can think of right now is about the fights of the year. Fight of the year for me is Chandler versus Chandler versus Poirier, Yuri Prochazka versus Glover Teixeira. What else did we get? I'm telling you, last week, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson versus Kevin Holland. That's a contender for me. But when you're talking about performances, my mind's gone blank right now. Just throw a few at me, boys.
My one for me that I will probably throw in will be Alex Volkanovski's performance against Max Holloway, maybe this year. That's probably one that stands out for me. Nick, I don't know where you're at, mate. There's been a few good, solid performances from fighters that have really stepped up this year.
Yeah, well, my performance of the year is also tied in with the knockout of the year, and you guys may have seen it on TV. I was live inside the arena, Salt Lake City crew, baby, and it was when Leon Edwards, our illustrious colleague here, and became the second man in the hill from the UK to win a UFC belt. So yeah, I think Leon's going to take some beating in more than one category, and rightfully so.
Yeah, and listen, for that, Nick, because I was thinking about this fighter of the year, and certainly for Leon, what do you think? I'm actually asking your opinion on this because my mind immediately goes to Leon. He knocked out the pound-for-pound number one guy, but the only problem is he only had one fight this year. Do you think that's a big enough what's the word I'm looking for? That takes enough. Do you think that takes enough credit away from the performance or the knockout for him to be eliminated from Fighter of the Year candidate?
I think the fact that it was a statement performance against the guy that going into the fight, pretty much every single media member in this room right now had Kamaru Usman at the top of the pound-for-pound tree. And Leon goes in there, he faces adversity, he's clearly losing the fight, and then he pulls off a shot, and it wasn't a lucky shot, it was a shot that he drilled during fight week, and we've seen it, the BT Sport camera caught it during fight week, and he drilled it backstage before the fight. There was absolutely no luck involved whatsoever. So, and when you think about the journey that Leon had been on, it was only a couple of years ago on Fight Island that we were talking, Leon was removed from the ranking system because he wasn't taking such a fight. And accepted the fight with Cam's at more than once. It's just been the journey he's been on to suddenly go from, in the eyes of some fans certainly outside the UK, a bit of a zero to an absolute hero, I think has been phenomenal. So, of course, I think one fight or three fights, it depends on the magnitude of the fight. It didn't come any bigger than taking on Kamaru Usman for gold, and he delivered when it mattered most. So, yeah, for me, he's got to be in the conversation.
Yeah, no, and I totally agree with those points because, as you say, there's a lot of things that go into it. Obviously, your performances in the octagon, the frequency of your schedule, but also the attitude, the willingness to take fights. As you say, took on Hamzat or agreed to take on Hamzat on numerous occasions. I don't believe I've ever heard Leon Edwards ever turning down opponents, and he has been perfect inside the octagon since the last Kamaru fight. So, I'm fully on board. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that, does it? To dethrone, and not only dethrone, to knock out the pound-for-pound number one in a come-from-behind performance, which is truly inspiring and Rocky-esque in many ways.
Can't wait for it. December 29th, you'll be able to see that award ceremony. And as I said, up to December the 29th, we'll be giving you the opportunity to get involved in making those decisions. Male Fighter of the Year, Female Fighter of the Year. Of course, we'll have awards like Knockout of the Year, Submission of the Year, Fight of the Year, all those types of things. We might even have Analyst of the Year.
Oh, forget about it.
Do you want another one? All that's going to be coming up. You want one of them as well, do you? Right, it's all coming up anyway on December the 29th. For more information on it, like I said, btsport.com/UFC Awards 2022. All right, that's the website. It's going to have a little bit of a look.
Right,
back
Adam.
to today. Yes, go on.
Who were we waiting for here? Who's this one?
Santiago Ponzinibbio.
Get a move on.
Just waiting for Santiago Ponzinibbio. Mike's got things to do, man.
The worst thing is,
come and join the lads.
The worst thing with Santiago as well is that the fight was made with Robbie Lawler at 170. It was in the last 7 days that it was changed out, that Alex Morono came in as opponent, and the bout was added an extra £10. Now, I'm guessing that Morono benefit over the Nibio. So I don't think he's got any weight. He'll probably sitting in his room around 178, 179, playing with his PlayStation, you know, eating a bag of nuts. Get down here, man. What's what we're waiting for? Let's get this fight on.
I mean, based upon that, do we really need to hang around to see him make weight? Because I feel like it's just a formality at this point. You know, I mean, the guy's got to make weight. We know this. There he is on the scale. Woo, we got it. Or should we go about our business and just like get really hyped up for the fight? Because I got to go do my in-depth analysis. You know, those awards don't come for nothing, you know. I've got stacks of paperwork, bundles and bundles of tape to get through. You know, I need to watch them 4, 5, 6, sometimes 7 times to find the finer nuances, the loopholes that they open, the strategic striking patterns that they form. You know, it takes time to find these things.
Mike, you just want to get on a flight, come to Vegas and join the lads, don't you?
I'm starving. I want bacon, sausage and egg.
Right, just a quick one then. Hopefully Santiago will be with us in a minute, because there's one fight on this main card that really captures a lot of fight fans' imagination. The characters that are involved in the fight are polarizing in some ways, but stylistically it just makes for fantastic viewing. And it is the first one, the one that kicks off the card, with Bryce Mitchell taking on Ilia Topuria. Mike, stylistically, you said it in the prelims, in the preview show, shall I say, that Topuria's got a great wrestling base, but recently he's fallen in love with his hands. So therefore, you would kind of lend to the knowledge that this would be a grappler, heavy grappler, taking on a striker. Do you see it playing out like that, or do you think that it will be scramble heavy in the first 5 minutes?
Yeah, it's not a striker versus a grappler. Topuria is well-rounded. He can get the job done in a variety of ways. But I think he would be a fool to engage in a grappling contest or a grappling style fight against Bryce Mitchell. Bryce Mitchell has shown the ability to stifle everyone he's been up against, and he does it with relative ease. He's very strong, he's got great wrestling, and on the floor he's got tremendous submission ability. He's hit a twister, he looks for them all the time. So as I say, do not engage in that type of game. He does have hands, but they're set up because of the threat of the takedown. So for Topuria, you know, he is going to scramble. He's going to try and maintain distance and strike at all times. If he gets in the Bryce has shown, he can overall the division, and I think he'll have his way on the ground with him. He's got that smothering style.
Personality-wise, Nick, they are quite polarizing, these two guys, aren't they? You know what I mean? I mean, you're either in or you're out with both of these characters, as we've seen this week when they've been addressing media.
Yeah, well, Bryce didn't get to media day in time, did he? His flight got delayed, so he's kind of had to catch up yesterday when he was at media, at the press conference, sorry. But Ilia Topuria, you know, he seems more involved with getting involved with Paddy Pimblett and trying to get that argument going and keeping that trash talk going. So they are quite unusual characters. We've seen something when they came head to head. They had a few words then. I think they'll have a few words, you know, later on today when we see a head to head at the ceremonial weigh-ins. I'm expecting a little bit more fire then, because they have to focus on one another. It's all good and well, you know, looking at what potentially comes next and the likes of Paddy Pimblett and these huge fights down the line for either guy. But legit, they're both undefeated fighters. There's no blueprint necessarily to beat them inside the octagon. They're both in very interesting times in their careers now, where one of these guys, the winner, is going to go on to become potentially, you know, pretty well ranked in this weight division and talked about as a future contender, while the loser will go away and have to rebuild and lick his wounds in 2023. So it's an incredibly important fight for both of them. They're both complete Marmites. You either love them or you hate them. And it really is a pick and fight. I like Topuria. I think I fancy Topuria for this one. I think it's a little bit more rounded. But you know what? If Bryce Mitchell was to land the right hand, closing down, don't forget, you know, Jai Herbert's had some real success in the stand-up as well. And I know that's Jai's game, but he had some real success against Topuria. He didn't have it all his own way, just like Bryce Mitchell hasn't had it all his own way. But I think it's a match made in heaven. It's a real 50-50. Nothing would surprise me in this fight. And it's just a cracking way to kick off the main card.
I've just had a brainwave, actually, Nicholas. Is it the Argentina game at 11 o'clock this morning here in Vegas time as part of the World Cup? Is it Argentina next up? I'm only saying that because obviously Santiago Ponzinibbio is Argentinian. I reckon he's timing this to come and watch the game at the Apex. That's what I reckon he's doing. He's taking the mick out of us. He's going to push this right up until for the next hour or so we can come and watch the match in the quarterfinals next. What do you reckon?
Absolutely, Argentina, Netherlands it is, isn't it? But later on today, and we know he's been vocal about Chin and Canelo after comments he made about Lionel Messi and everything else. So we know he's a mad football fan. But as I say, he had 10 pounds extra weight added to what he's allowed to make on the scales. There's absolutely no reason why he isn't in here, why he isn't long gone by now. He could have been back in his room, sitting comfortably, surrounded by refreshments, watching the game anyway.
Yeah, but he's probably, set his alarm. He thought, right, I've got to 11. I'll set my alarm at 10 because I'm fighting. I want to lie in. I'm going to make the weight easy. 180 pounds is a walk in the park. He's probably getting his shoes on right about now, or his little UFC slides, and coming down with one of his trademark jazzy, loud shirts on. You know what I mean? The cauliflower days will be popping in before you know it, and we'll all be able to go about on our way. Hopefully.
Matt, you mentioned earlier on something that Dana spoke about this week regarding Conor McGregor's comeback to the UFC and Michael Chandler being that potential, likely is the word that he used, opponent. That's obviously done the rounds on social media. A lot of people, a lot of fans getting into that conversation. What do you make of that for a potential comeback for Conor when he does make his way back to the UFC? That the person that Dana's favouring would be Michael Chandler.
What did Dana actually say? He favours Chandler to win that fight?
He said it. No. He said that it was as an opponent. He said that the likely opponent would be Michael Chandler. What do you make of it as a matchup for Conor to come back to?
Yeah, well, I think it makes perfect sense because Chandler is always in exciting fights. So you put Chandler versus Conor, everyone gets excited, and then once again, pay-per-view buys are through the roof, and it does great business for everybody involved. Chandler can wrestle very well, but we've shown that he doesn't really use that too often because he likes to be involved in these amazing fights, and that's what we love about him. And again, that plays into the hands of Conor McGregor because they want him to come back, have a real fight, one they can sell, but a fight that Conor, definitely has a chance of winning. Chandler gets touched. If Tony Ferguson can drop him in round one, so can Conor McGregor. I think Conor's biggest problem will be getting through the USADA testing pool and then getting down to 155. They might do this at a catch weight. They might do it at 170. We don't know. Getting down to 155, all that time away from the octagon. I think it is a good winnable fight for both men, and that again is what makes it compelling. That's what we want to see. Someone just going to steamroll somebody. There's no excitement in that. But Michael Chandler is a guy not to be underestimated, a guy that will show up, a guy that will stand toe-to-toe with Conor. And Conor, we know, will do the exact same thing. So, yeah, take my money. I'll pay to see that all day long.
Nick, absolutely. I'm in 100% agreement with what Mike's saying. From a fan-friendly point of view, it is such an exciting, explosive, on-the-feet type of fight. But I just can't help get excited about the prospect of Conor McGregor maybe fighting Paddy the Baddy, if he's successful at the weekend.
Listen, I think the Paddy fight would be absolutely massive. We were talking about the other day, we were talking about potential fights to fill for the UFC to kick off a big event at this Raiders Stadium. And I think, well, let's be honest, Conor McGregor versus TBA is probably the worthy of it, and more than likely the Chandler fight would be worthy of as well. But I think Paddy the Baddy would push it over the edge. I think that does even bigger numbers just because you've seen the reaction to Paddy, not just at home, but certainly here in the US. He is a massive rising star, and either way, Paddy can rebuild on the back of a loss to Conor McGregor, where he's probably had to give away a lot of weight advantage. Or, if Conor comes back and he really is, a bit of a shadow of his former self, and Paddy gets them, then obviously Paddy takes that shine. UFC have now got this full-fledged pay-per-view superstar on their hands, so I think that fight kind of works as well both ways. But I understand why Dana's siding towards Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler's proved that since he's come into the UFC, he has become an overnight, superb fan favorite globally. He is a pay-per-view driver star, even though he necessarily hasn't been the headliner. He delivers every single time. He's been in 2 of the fight of the years back-to-back over in New York, and I think there's nothing that says that it wouldn't be a similar thing against Conor McGregor. He's the type of fighter that be like, as Mike says, I'm not going to wrestle Conor because everyone knows I could beat Conor with wrestling. I'm going to stand and bang with Conor. I'm going to prove something. If Dustin can do it, I want to do it. He's got that kind of mentality, Michael Chandler, which is obviously what you need for Conor McGregor. I think the Masvidal fight, which I was siding towards earlier in the year, has probably drifted away a little bit now. I think Chandler's probably the perfect choice.
What do you reckon, Mike? Would you put Paddy in with Conor middle of next year?
I mean, come on, Nick. Should we just look at it through the reality lens? Paddy's yet to fight a ranked opponent, but you're going to throw him in there with the biggest pay-per-view star, former 2-weight division champion. You know, I don't think it would be a great fight, and I would love to see. Yeah, everyone's going to make a lot of money, but there's a lot of boxes that would remain unticked. You know what I mean? You got to put him in there with a bona fide, tested, proven star, you know, like a Masvidal, like a Chandler, you know, obviously a fourth fight with Poirier because them two are going back and forth. Nate Diaz, a fourth fight. You never know. They could bring him back on a one-fight deal. You know what I mean? These are fights that whilst, yeah, of course, I'd love to see that. I'd like to pay that. I would pay the money to see them two fight. But it's just, you gotta work your way up. You know, you got to beat Jared Gordon, yeah, and then maybe fight someone in the top 15, which is yet to happen. You know what I mean? So he's in the building phase, and I still think he's at least another 3 fights away from those type of conversations.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Are we realistically bringing Conor back, though, to do a title push? Are we realistically bringing Conor back to work towards a potential Islam Makhachev fight or anything? I don't think we are. I think Conor comes back for a nicer word, freak show fights, for big, huge pay-per-view driving fights. It doesn't matter where the rankings are. It doesn't matter really what weight division it's in. It's about getting Conor back in the octagon once or twice a year against the biggest name possible to make as much money as possible, in my opinion.
No. And I agree with that, Nick. And you're absolutely right. You know, I don't even think that's open for discussion, to be honest. And who was it the other day? I think it was Nate Diaz. When Dustin were going back and forth, and then Nate Diaz chimed in, and you both get knocked out all the time, right? Which was kind of funny of Nate Diaz. And then Dustin was calling out Nate Diaz, saying, listen, come on, let's have a go, because they were matched up. And I think Dustin pulled out with a bad back, and he offered, hey, UFC, sign Nate to a one-fight deal, right? And that got me thinking, because look at this. You know, the logical thinking was that Nate Diaz was going to go away and box Jake Paul, right? Well, Jake Paul is fighting Andrew Tate by all accounts. So once again, Nate Diaz is going to be sitting around. Who's you know, he's getting old. I'm not sure what he is. He's like 37, 38, something like that. He doesn't want to waste any time, you know. A one-fight deal to come back and fight Conor McGregor for the 4th time. If I was the UFC, that would be the play that I would be trying to make. At 170 pounds, that suits Conor. They've got rich history. They've shared the octagon, 2 times now? They need the rubber match. They're 1-1. That would be the way that I would try and go. And Dana has left the door open for Nate. He said this will always be his house and we'll always welcome him back. And I think those pay-per-view numbers would be absolutely astronomical.
There you go.
Is that another 10-7, Nick, Adam?
It's good.
Another 10-7?
Yeah, it's solid, mate. You're on. Do you know something? I think I like you when you just received an award, mate. You know what I mean? There's a little bit of extra pop in your step, pal. You come out all guns blazing. I can see the momentum. You've come with the momentum today, ain't you, mate? Flying, absolutely flying, pal. Carrying the show, as you say, on your back. That's what we like to say. Now, again, I just want to highlight. We kind of just touched upon it briefly when he hit the scales, but I just want to highlight the 18-year-old who is obviously fighting on this card at the weekend in Raul Rosas Jr., a guy that shot to fame on the Contender Series, and there was a lot of decent names coming out of that Contender Series. Bo Nickel to name but one, and Rosas Jr. has got a little bit of that shine as well. And this weekend, making his official UFC debut on a big numbered card. It's going to be interesting to see how he deals with the crowd. I mean, it's going to be packed at the T-Mobile, Mike, absolutely bouncing. And for an 18-year-old kid that is still in school, still homeschooling in the time throughout the course of the week, doing his training and then getting himself ready for a fight at the weekend, it's a big ask for him to rise to the plate on Saturday night.
It's mental. It's mental when you break it down and you put it like that. It is absolutely mental. And he's going to stop there and he's going to ask his mum to drop him off at the T-Mobile Arena, hold his hand while he crosses the road. And as he keeps in a little eye on him while he wraps up his hands. Obviously, I'm joking, but it just shows that this kid's got something special. To even volunteer to put himself into this position in the first place speaks volumes as to his mental toughness, his mental strength, and what he's capable of. Clearly, I never saw his fight on the Contender. I didn't call that one. I was out being a movie star in Bulgaria. You know, I'm a busy guy. But by all accounts, he was very good. Dana loved what he saw, and he signed him for a reason. So this could be the start of, quite the rise. And at 18 years old, it's just unbelievable because the whole thing is going to be documented through the UFC. It's all going to be caught on camera. And you never know if it pans out and he becomes a legend of the sport. I mean, talk about a documentary in the making. Years from now, all that footage, all that stock footage from 18 years. 18! I mean, what were you two doing when you were 18 years old? And be honest about it.
Go on, this, because I can't repeat mine.
I'd rather not say at this moment in time for legal reasons, but what I will say is that I certainly didn't have the direction, the focus, and the commitment to a career like this kid has at such a tender age. As you say, signed at 17. He's about to make his full debut at 18. Listen, he was 5-0 in his career before he came into Dana White's Contender Series, all finishers. Then in Dana White's Contender Series, we tend to see guys needing a finish before Dana pushes them into the UFC. But he won on points. But you know what? It was the dominant performance it was the manner in which he won on points. And I think, you know what, Mike, after 5 fights, 5 stoppages, then you get into the Contender Series and you win on points. I think that was probably the best thing that could have happened to him because it just pulls his feet back onto the ground a little bit, reminds him that he stepped up a level, and hopefully that is enough reminder that he needs ahead of this fight with Jay Perrin on Saturday night. That from Dana White's Contender Series, guess what? You're about to go to UFC pay-per-view event, you're going to step up another level as well. So hopefully it kept his feet on the ground a little bit. I like the fact that, originally they were talking about him being on the main card. He didn't need any of that kind of pressure. I'm glad the way he's been dropped down to the prelims. That would have been a little bit too much for your first ever fight, but he's saying all the right things. The kid, he's carrying himself the right way. He's got a younger brother that's hot on his tail. He's desperate to one day get into the UFC as well. They're clearly a fighting family, and the guy's got so much potential. I think he's a great addition to the card and the entire roster.
Yeah, agreed, man. Agreed. Looking forward to seeing him do his thing in front of that major crowd on Saturday night. Whilst we're still waiting for Santiago Ponzinibbio to weigh in for UFC 282, for those that are just joining the stream, everybody's weighed in. We've got a title fight going down, Blachowicz and Ankalaev. They came through ages ago. Job done. Paddy the Baddy came through, as did his opponent in Jared Gordon. And we also... there was a bit of noise. There's a bit of noise. We might be getting Santiago Ponzinibbio in a moment. We also had Darren Till come through. All good. There's a little bit of noise here in the Apex. I'm just making sure that we're not going to miss anything because we could do with speeding it along a touch. Whilst we do have a slight lull, gentlemen, I want you to think forward now for 2023, and I want you to think of one fight that you would like to make. I'm going to put a caveat on this, right? Neither of you are having John Jones's return against Francis Ngannou. I know that's what maybe you might have gone. You're not having it. You're not allowed it. You've got to take that out, move that to one side, and think of a fight that you would like to see made by the UFC. Could be a title fight if you want. Doesn't necessarily have to be. Hold that thought. Hold that thought. Santiago Ponzinibbio has actually just turned up, so we're going to get him on the scales and see what the crack is. Remember, Nick pointed out and just reminded everybody a moment or two ago that it is a catch weight fight. This, of course.
Our final athlete to weigh in this morning, competing live on pay-per-view.
180, he's got a hit.
At a catch weight of 180 pounds, the Argentine dagger, Santiago Ponzinibbio.
They changed it to a catch weight. Yeah, because that way
He's smiling away, enjoying himself as the kid. You might have picked that up on my microphone. I know that the pictures there are slightly behind the real-time action of me being inside the Apex this morning. But it'll be confirmed in a minute as it comes through your screen.
179.5, the official weight for Santiago Ponzinibbio.
I love this guy.
That concludes.
Never in doubt.
All right, folks, that is it for the official weigh-in. We will see you for the
he's Santiago. He's such a smooth operator. He's such a nice guy. When you see him around the Apex, because he does the Spanish broadcast, so I see him quite a lot.
Yeah,
he's always got a nice thing to say. We always have some nice, warm conversations. But in the octagon, the man's a straight-up killer. He's so fun to watch. That fight with Morono is going to be a good one. Solid addition to the main card.
Beautiful striker, beautiful striker. Quickly, Nick, I'll come to you then. The question that I was about to ask, one fight for 2023 that you would like to make. What have you got? Off the top of your head, spitballing it right now. There's no preparation or plans gone into this. Go.
John Jones versus Francis Ngannou for the heavyweight title. I don't care what you say. I don't care if you're putting caveats on it. That's the fight I want to see. I've been waiting a long time to see John Jones finally step up to heavyweight. So yeah, button it, Catchall. I want that fight. That's the fight I want to see. Hopefully it happens in March, early March. If not, I'll tell you what then, stick it on my 5-fight card for London, eh? We'll have that as the co-main event to Leon. Why not? Hey, listen, you guys are bringing people out that aren't even fit to fight. So I'm going to put John Jones versus Francis underneath Leon versus Kamaru in London, in Manchester. In March. Well, thank you very much.
If we're just going to go completely off the deep end, this is a fight that I do want to see, and it is a truly compelling fight, and it does involve one of your guys, John Jones versus Tom Aspinall, because I believe that Tom is probably one of the most athletic and technical heavyweights that we've ever seen inside the UFC. And I truly believe that when John Jones comes to the octagon, finally, at heavyweight, he's going to take over. And the only man that will give him a true, real threat will be Tom Aspinall. So there you go. There's my pick. Boom.
That's naughty, boys. Isn't it? That's naughty.
But what's yours?
Yeah, go on then.
All right.
John Jones versus Francis Ngannou.
Guys, I've got a question for you. I'm just going to throw this. I'm just going to throw it at you, spitballing. If you could pick a 135-pound fighter that we haven't seen this week and has 2 losses on his record and has 1 no contest, but he's got to fight somebody that we know very well, that comes from Brazil, that's never been knocked out. What's your choice, guys? What's your choice?
I look forward to having a pint with you at the football tomorrow, mate. This banter is going to be absolutely fierce. Absolutely fierce. Right, quick one for you. UFC 282 goes down 1 o'clock in the morning. Come and join us for those prelims because it's going to be absolutely stacked with that main card getting underway from 3. And there is that main card. Only one fight had to be changed last minute this week, obviously, with Robbie Lawler having to pull out. So Alex Morono went in there with Santiago Ponzinibbio. You already knew about the light heavyweight title situation where we had to boost the co-main to the main. 5 rounds of Magomed Ankalaev taking on Jan Blachowicz for that vacant title. Paddy Pimblett then, therefore, boosted into the co-main to take on Jared Gordon. Of course, Darren Till on there too against Dricus du Plessis. And kicking it all off from 3 in the morning is Bryce Mitchell versus Ilia Topuria. It is going to be absolute fireworks. Make sure you come back and join us for the review show for 282 on Sunday. And then, as we said earlier on in the programme, December the 29th will be our awards show where we look back at the last 12 months of everything from the UFC and celebrate the very best of the best. Glitter jackets will be out in force and we want you to come and join us. Go to bcsport.com/UFC awards 2022 for more information on that. Gentlemen, pleasure as always. Bisping's won this on a 10-7. We're going to have a pint tomorrow. I'm going to make sure we film it because I'm going to make sure I get a 10-7 back on him whilst we're watching the football, and then we'll all come all guns blazing for a big show as we review UFC 282. Thank you very much for your time watching us wherever you are in the world. Enjoy the fights and we'll see you Sunday.
Continues to shine bright.
This guy is as real as it gets.
Are you not entertained?
Fight fans, get ready.